Greetings. So here we are again having a discussion about the Feldenkrais method. I'd like to work with the sides today. The sides for most of us are not really very much in our awareness, and they're extremely important. They connect the front to the back. The movement in the sides affects the rib cage immensely and the health of the spine. The spine really needs to side bend, not just bend forward and back. And it's not about stretching. How far can I stretch? It's not about that. It's about how we move intersegmentally through our spine so that each set of vertebrae get to have this kind of movement with each other. It's so important. So let's start with a short baseline. We'll do our usual standing baseline. So bring yourself to standing. Find yourself over your feet. Notice the support through your legs. Notice whether your lower back feels arched or flat. And then once again, just begin to simply turn around the room. Just looking around the room, using your eyes to gaze at the bookshelf, at the lamp, at the chair, at the desk, at the picture, at the wall, at the curtain, whatever. And as you continue to do that, notice how much you can sense the movement of your ribs. Now notice we're not doing a side bending as a baseline for this, but you'll see why. So come on down onto your back. One note, I'm sorry I didn't tell you this before, it's really useful to have some slippery fabric to make it easier for you to slide side to side. You're going to be on your back. And you're going to have your knees bent. And rest on your back. So just begin keeping your nose pointing directly to the ceiling, shortening the space between your left ear and your left shoulder. Make the movement very small. Where is that bending taking place? Do you feel it only in the neck? Do you feel it in the rib cage? Where is your weight in your upper back? Then do the same thing to the right side. I'm going to fast forward a bit because I don't want this video to be too long, so you'll have to pause and experience to the right the side bending movement. And now you're going to interlace your fingertips behind your head. Bring your elbows up on either side of your head, and you're going to gently, barely lift your head off the floor. Notice you can't see that I just lifted my head off the floor. I'm just unweighting my head, moving the weight of my knuckles off the floor, excuse me, but keeping the knuckles touching the floor. So they're still, my knuckles are still touching the floor. Good. Now where are you lifting from? Can you find, let your elbows rest for a minute. Bring your elbows up again. Can you find a place in your upper back, up here, where this part of your body touches the floor, that you can press into the floor to move your knuckles a tiny bit away from the carpeting, still touching the carpeting? Where would you press into the floor with your upper back so that you could counterbalance the weight of your head by pushing your upper back into the floor? So you'll do this many, many times, resting many, many times until you feel comfortable with that. You may want to stop here. This may be the first part of the lesson and you come back to it later. Once you're comfortable with that, then begin to move your left ear towards your left foot. Only go 1 inch, and then your right ear towards your right foot. You're moving about 1 inch away from center, and you're finding where is the place in my upper back that allows me to make this movement. Resting frequently, coming back again, so that rather than the axis of the movement being my neck, the axis of the movement is actually starting down here. So it's like a sprinkler or like the needle of a speedometer. How far down your spine can you begin the movement? Can you incrementally lower the support so that you're moving from further down your spine? The head doesn't come off the floor any higher, but gradually, 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 easily, safely, comfortably, with many rests, you begin to explore. Now you're going to take a full rest, which I'm not going to take the time for. And then you're going to keep your right leg straight and your left knee bent, and you're going to move to the left, and you're going to reach out your right leg. So how does that change the movement if you include the counterbalance through the leg? Does it make the head lighter? Does it make the bend in the spine lower? So keep working with the same side for as much as you like, then bring the knee back up, and as you go to the left, just move the right side of the pelvis a little bit to the left as you bend over. So that's going to cause you to roll a bit across the left side of your upper back. So first the side bend, then the right side of the pelvis, then you start to roll across the rib cage, and you're turning a little, aren't you? And then back to the center. Same thing again, begin the side bend. I'm barely off the floor, can you see that? But I'm anchored way down here. And then I roll my pelvis. So to the other side it would look like this. Well, first I would do the straight leg, reaching out the leg as I side bend. Reaching. When I get tired, I'm going to stop. I have a right cranky rib cage, and I just noticed it wasn't very happy. So I'm going to rest. And I would rest longer than this, but this is a video, so there you have it. So I side bend to the right as I reach through the left leg. I'm having trouble finding support on this side. So I'm going to keep it really small. I'm not going to try to go as far down my spine as I did on the other side, because I can't find it yet. I simply can't find it. And so rather than pushing to perform it or to make it the same as the other side, I'm going to let this side be this side. And then I would do the same thing again, allowing the rolling to happen. And you know what? I bet if I let this rolling happen. So that's where I side bend to the right, and then I move my left pelvis towards the right. I'm betting that that's going to help me, because you know what? I'm getting a ton of contact through the right side of my rib cage as I push through the left side of my pelvis, moving it over to the right. So now if I come back to the side bend, yep, it's much easier. So now come back and rest, take a complete rest. Take one more side bend left, side bend right, and I'd like you to sense, where's the beginning of the speedometer needle? How far out the top of your head does the speedometer needle extend? And check this out, when you go to the left, can you feel the right side of your accordion ribs expand as the left side of your accordion ribs come closer together? When you go to the right, it would be the opposite. The left side would open and spread apart, and the right ribs would close and come together. So by this time, I feel like I'm moving almost all the way down from my lower back, and it feels really great. And so at that point, I would come back and rest, and I would side bend my head, just as a way to measure. So I can now feel that all the way down to the opposite heel. And then I would rest as long as I'd like and come back up to standing, sensing how I'm standing, sensing how my pelvis is over my hip joints, sensing how my rib cage is over my pelvis, and then turning once again, and holy smokes, that is so much more three-dimensional, so much easier, so much fuller. All right, thanks for watching. I'd love it when you leave comments. Bye-bye.